In this lecture, we start complex analysis. So first of all, we have to see what is a complex function. So to understand complex function, first I will take a complex number. So what is a complex number? We denote a complex number by z, and we know that this is z is equal to x plus iy. We denote a complex number by z equal to x plus iy, where this x is the real part of the complex number and this y is the imaginary part of the complex number. So for example, we have z is equal to 2 plus 3i. So here 2 plus 3i is the complex number, where 2 is the real part and 3 is the imaginary part. Now this is one complex number. Let us take another complex number, that is equal to 3 plus 2i. So as we change the values of x and y, we can find different complex numbers. Now what we see, what is a complex function? Complex function. A complex function is denoted by fz, and on the left hand side we can take w. As we know that a function of one variable we denote like this, y equal to fx. Similarly, we can also write y is equal to ft if it is a function of t. So if the function is of function t, then we can denote this by y equal to ft. If it is a function of x, then we can denote this by function of x, y equal to fx. Similarly, in complex analysis, we denote a function by fz, w equal to fz, where fz means function of z. Now we see that how can we say that this is a complex function. So here z is x plus iy. So I will take an example. Let w is equal to fz, and we are taking this is equal to z square. Okay. Now we put the value of z from here. So now we have fz equal to x plus iy whole square. Now we open this by a plus b whole square. So this is equal to x square plus I square y square. I square will be minus 1. So that is y square plus I times 2xy. Here we can write this as x square minus y square and plus I 2xy. So here we can see that in fz we have two parts. One part is with I and another part is without I. So this part is the real part and this part is the imaginary part. Suppose we denote this real part by u and this imaginary part by v. So let fz equal to u plus iv. Where what is u? U is the real part of fz and v is the imaginary part of fz. So in this example, we can see that u is equal to x square minus y square and v equal to 2xy. So here we have u is equal to x square minus y square and v is equal to 2xy. So here we can see that u is a function of x and y and v is also a function of x and y. So it means a function fz which is equal to u plus iv is a function of x and y. So that is why we call it a function, and since here it is I also, so we call it a complex function. So hence fz equal to u plus iv, or we can also write this is equal to w. So w which is equal to fz is equal to u plus iv is a complex function. Here we see that u is a function of x and y and v is a function of x and y. So since u is a function of two variables, v is a function of two variables, so it means all the properties of two variables we can use here. We can use, suppose we have to differentiate u and we have to differentiate v. So since this is a function of two variables, so we have to differentiate by partial derivative because it is a function of more than one variable. So u and v should be differentiated by partial derivative. Later we will use this. Now this is the definition of the complex function. Similarly, we have many other examples of complex function. We can take fz equal to z cube We can take this is fz equal to mod z, or we can take sin z and other. These all are the examples of complex functions. Next, we see, so the first definition is limit of a complex function. So to find the limit of a complex function, we first of all we should know the limit in one variable case. And since we have studied that suppose we have a function of fx, then the limit of this function fx at a point x equal to a. Suppose we want to find the limit x tends to a of fx. So we say that this limit exists if the limit from the left hand side and the limit from the right hand side are equal. Suppose this is the point A. So if we move from left hand side or we move from right hand side. So the limit of this we call left hand limit and this we call right hand limit. If left hand limit and right hand limit are equal, then we say that limit x tends to a fx exists. Here this A is this point x equal to, this is the point on axis. Now here we have to define limit in the case of complex function. So that is, suppose we have to find limit of fz. We are taking complex function fz and we take z tends to z naught, where z naught is any fixed complex number. So suppose we have to find this limit. So we want to find when this limit exists. Since here we have a complex number is denoted in this, we can say this is xy plane, or we can also say that this is Argand plane. A complex number z equal to x plus iy can be denoted by this point x comma y. So since to approach this point we have many directions. We can approach from left, we can approach from right, we can approach from upside, we can approach from downside, or we can approach from any direction. We can approach from any direction. So to reach at this point in two-dimensional plane, we have infinite number of directions. So to exist the limit of this fz at this point, so limit this z tends to z naught fz exists. This limit exists if by approaching from all the directions from, I am removing this, so we can see that there are many directions. So if by approaching from all the directions, the value of limit should be same. Okay. So if by approaching at a point from all the directions, from all the infinite directions, if value of the limit, this point is z naught, at which we have to find the limit. So this point is z naught. So if we move towards z naught from all the directions, if the value of the limit is same, then we can say that the limit exists. And if by approaching from other different directions, the value of the limit is not same, then we say that the limit does not exist. So this is the definition of limit in case of complex function. Next we move to the definition of continuity. That is, how can we say that a function is continuous? A complex function is continuous. So to the definition of continuity in case of single variable, the same definition is here in case of complex function. If limit z tends to z naught fz exists and limit z tends to z naught fz, this is equal to fz naught. If these two conditions are satisfied, that is, this limit should exist and this limit should equal to the value of the function at this point z naught. Then we can say, then the function fz is continuous at z equal to z naught. Okay. So if this, there are two conditions: if this limit exists and if this limit is equal to the value of the function, then we can say that the function fz is continuous at the point z equal to z naught. So it means to for a function to be continuous, first of all the limit should exist. And how the limit will exist? The limit will exist if by approaching from all the directions the value of the limit is same. So this is the definition of a continuous function fz. Next we come to differentiability. So next we have differentiability. How can we say that a function is differentiable at a point z equal to z naught? So a function fx, a function fz, a function fz is differentiable at z equal to z naught if limit delta z tends to 0 f of z plus delta z minus fz, this is z naught plus delta z minus fz naught upon delta z. So if this limit delta z tends to 0, f of z naught plus delta z naught, we can take this as delta z naught because we are taking the difference at a point. So if this limit, if this limit exists, limit delta z naught tends to 0, f of z naught plus delta z naught minus f z naught upon delta z naught. What is this? The in the denominator we have change in z, and in the numerator we have change in fz, because we already know that the function is w is equal to fz. The given function is w equal to fz. So if we have to find at a point, so this will be fz naught, and we want to find a change in z. We can take the change as, suppose this is the initial value and this is the value at after change, after taking a change delta z naught. So these are the 2 points. So this is f of z naught plus delta z naught minus this is f of z naught. So this is the difference in w, value of the w, and upon the difference in the value of z. So as we know that the definition of the derivative is rate of change of two quantities, rate of change of w with respect to x, and we are taking the limiting case. So we denote this by f dash z naught. So if the limit on the left hand side is limit on the right hand side exists, then we say that the function is differentiable. That is, we can find the derivative of this function at z naught. So a function fz is differentiable at a point z equal to z naught if this limit exists. If this limit exists, and if this limit does not exist, then the function cannot be differentiable at a point z naught. We can write this in another form. We can write this dw upon dz, the derivative of w with respect to z. This is equal to limit delta z tends to 0, delta w upon delta. These are the same things. I am writing only at a point z. So this is change in w upon change in z. So rate of change of w with respect to z, and we are taking the limiting case because this change should be very, very small. So we are taking the limiting case, limit delta z tends to 0, delta w upon delta z. So this will be equal to, we denote by this by derivative dw upon dz. So these are the two forms of the definition of the derivative. Next, this is the definition of the differentiability, that dw upon dz equal to limit delta z tends to 0, delta w upon delta z. Now we see that under what conditions a function fz is differentiable. So now we find the conditions for differentiable function. Now we find conditions for the differentiable function, that is under what conditions a function is differentiable. So here we have W is equal to u plus iv, and we know that z is equal to x plus iy. So we are putting these values in this definition of the derivative, and we also write that this w, we understood that this u is a function of x and y, and similarly this v is a function of x and y. We already seen that these u and v are functions of x and y, so we can write u is a function of x and y, uxy, and we can also write v is a function of xy, vxy. Okay, in short, we can write w equal to u plus iv. So we are putting these values in this. Suppose this is equation number 1. So we are putting these values in 1. So now we have dw upon dz is equal to limit delta w. So delta w can be written as delta u plus I delta v. Delta u plus I delta v upon delta z. So delta z can be written as delta x plus I delta y. Okay, delta u means change in u, delta v means change in v, delta x means change in x, and delta y means change in y. And now we have to write the limit here. Now since here the limit is delta z tends to 0, because here we have delta z, but there is no delta z, we have put the value of z equal to x plus iy. So since here we have delta x and delta y, so the limit should also be, we have to write the limit in terms of x and y. So here we can write delta x tends to 0 and delta y tends to 0, because it can be easily seen that if delta x tends to 0, delta y tends to 0, then delta z tends to 0, because what is delta z? Delta z is delta x plus I delta y. So if delta x tends to 0, delta y tends to 0, then delta z tends to 0. So it means this delta z tends to 0 can be written in this form: delta x tends to 0, delta y tends to 0. So we have put the values of this z and w. Now since we know that the definition of the derivative is this is equal to dw upon dz, and here we have limit. So we know that the limit should exist only if we move from all the directions and the value of the limit is same. So here we consider different directions. So let us take first, suppose we want to move along, let delta z tends to 0 along a path parallel to real axis, along a path parallel to real axis. Okay, so suppose first of all, what is this path? Suppose we have, this is x-axis, this is y-axis. So now we are taking delta z tends to 0, delta z tends to 0, we are taking delta z tends to 0 along a path parallel to real axis. So parallel to real axis means, so this is real axis, so we are taking a path parallel to real axis. So parallel to real axis means, that is, if you move along this line, so what is delta y? Delta y will be 0. Delta y will be equal to 0, because we are taking this fixed point. Y is fixed point, so there is no change in y. We are moving along this line, along this direction, so there is no change in y. So no change in y means delta y is 0. But the change in x is here. Okay, so you are moving along this direction, it means we have change in x. So delta y equal to 0 and delta x tends to 0. Okay, again I am saying that delta z is equal to delta x plus I delta y. Okay, delta y is 0, but delta x is not 0, delta x tends to 0. So we can say that delta z tends to 0. So we are putting these values here in this definition of limit. So we have now dw upon dz is equal to limit. This is the numerator, delta u plus I delta v upon delta y is 0 when we move along this direction. When we move along this direction, delta y is 0. Okay, so here we have only delta x. Since there is no y, so now we write delta x tends to 0, but there is no need to write delta y tends to 0 because there is no y here. There is only x. Okay, so we will write only delta x tends to 0. Now, this limit delta x tends to 0, we can write this delta u upon delta x plus I, and limit delta x tends to 0, delta v upon delta x. Okay, you can write this. Now, this is change in u upon change in x, and the limit is delta x tends to 0. Similarly, change in v upon change in x and limit delta x tends to 0. So, this change in u upon change in x, and we already know that u is a function of two variables x and y, and we are differentiating this u with respect to x. So, and we are taking this limiting case, so it means we can write this whole term is equal to partial derivative of u with respect to x. So now we have dw upon dz is equal to partial derivative of u with respect to x plus I, and similarly this is change in v upon change in x, and v is also a function of two variables. So this is the definition of the derivative, but it should be partial derivative because v is function of two variables x and y. So we can write this is equal to delta v upon delta x, change partial derivative of v with respect to x. So this is, we can suppose this is equation number 2. So now we get dw upon dz equal to this. So we get this value when we move along this path parallel to real axis. Now we want to take another path. So secondly, now consider a path delta z tends to 0 parallel to imaginary axis. Parallel to imaginary axis. Okay. So when we move parallel to imaginary axis, this is imaginary axis, y-axis is imaginary axis, and x-axis is real axis. So when we move along this path now, parallel to imaginary axis. So when we move parallel to imaginary axis, so in this direction there is no change in x. X is fixed, x is constant. It means there is no change in x. So that is delta x equal to 0 now. In the previous case we have delta y equal to 0, but in this case now we have delta x is equal to 0 and delta y tends to 0 because we are moving in this direction, so y is changing, so delta y tends to 0. Now we put all these values again in this term, or I have written here. So now we have dw upon dz, this is equal to limit. This is numerator is delta u plus I delta v, and the denominator we have delta x plus I delta y. So delta x is 0 now, so the remaining is I delta y. Now there is no x, so we do not have to write x here, we have to write only delta y tends to 0. Okay, the limit will be only on y, delta y tends to 0. Again, this is limit delta y tends to 0. We can write this 1 upon I can be written as minus I. So minus I delta u upon delta y plus I is cancelled here. Limit delta y tends to 0, delta v upon delta y. Okay, so now minus I is outside, limit delta y tends to delta u upon delta y, partial derivative of u with respect to y, and this will be partial derivative. So partial derivative of u with respect to y plus, and this will become partial derivative of v with respect to y. Partial derivative of v with respect to y. This is the third equation. This is the value of dw upon dz. Now we say that a limit exists only if the limit should be equal when we move from different directions. So here we move from two directions. One direction is along parallel to x-axis and the other direction is parallel to y-axis. So we are moving from different direction, but the value of the limit should be same. If the value of the limit is not same, then the limit cannot exist. And if the limit does not exist, then the function cannot be derivative. And here we are finding the conditions for differentiable function. The conditions for differentiable function means we have to find those conditions under which a function is differentiable. So the function should be differentiable. So for a function to be differentiable, that limit should exist, and for a limit to exist, the value of the limit from these different directions should be same. It means the value of this value dw upon dz and this value dw upon dz both should be same. So from equation 2 and 3. So from equation 2 and 3, we will equate these two equations. So for Lz to be differentiable, the value from equation 2 and the value from equation 3 should be same. So I am writing here, this is equal to dw upon dz equal to this, and now this is equal to this minus I partial derivative of u with respect to y plus partial derivative of v with respect to y. So from equation 1 and 2, they should be same. So now, because these are the two values of dw upon dz, on the left hand side we have a complex number, on the right hand side we have a complex number. So two complex numbers are equal only when their real parts are equal and their imaginary parts are equal. So equating the real and imaginary parts, from we have, this is the real part, partial derivative of u with respect to x, this should be equal to the real part, this is the real part, partial derivative of v with respect to y, and this is the imaginary part, partial derivative of v with respect to x is equal to minus partial derivative of u with respect to y, the imaginary parts. So we are equating real and imaginary parts. So, or we can write these equations as del u upon del x is equal to del v upon del y, and we are writing first this del u upon del y is equal to minus del v upon del x. These are the two conditions under which a function is differentiable. So in this condition, a function is differentiable. Okay. So these are the two conditions in which a function is differentiable. Okay. So now we can also write these conditions in short. Partial derivative of u with respect to us can be written as ux. Partial derivative of v with respect to y can be written as vy. So ux equal to vy and uy equal to minus vx. In short, we can write as this. These equations are known as Cauchy-Riemann equations. These equations are known as Cauchy-Riemann equations. Cauchy and Riemann are the name of mathematicians. These equations are known as Cauchy-Riemann equations, or in short we write CR equations. So these are the two conditions, del u upon del x equal to del v upon del y and del u upon del y equal to minus del v upon del x. So in these two conditions, a function is, these are the two necessary conditions in which a function is differentiable. So here we say that these are the necessary conditions, these are not sufficient conditions. It means these conditions are must for a function to be differentiable. But if these conditions are satisfied, we cannot say that a function is differentiable. So these are only the necessary condition for a function to be differentiable.